PaperZD, which is the free plugin most of us use to improve the sprite-based workflow in Unreal Engine, just got a huge update and also went open source. Two of the most requested features for the last year or so have been a way to reuse animation sources and animation blueprints for multiple characters, aka a skin system, and a convenient way to add layers for things such as different armor pieces or weapons that can be switched out. And with the update that just dropped a few days ago, both of these features were added, and there's actually a third one as well, which I'll get into later. Let me first give you an overview of the skin system and what problems it solves. Before the update, one of the big issues was that even if we have multiple characters that have the same animation states, for each character we would have to create a separate animation source, register all of the animations, possibly with multiple directionalities, and then also create a separate animation blueprint for each character to set up the state machine and references. One problem with this approach is that we have to copy and paste things around and change them manually, and that makes it very hard to make updates as the project grows. With the new approach, we just create a single animation source, register the animations once, and then also create a single animation blueprint, which we also just set up once for all characters. Then we can create what is called a skin asset and basically tell it which animations to replace with which other animations for this particular skin or character. This step is still a bit tedious and manual right now, but the developer is currently looking for feedback on how to streamline this so we don't have to pick each asset one by one from multiple directions. Once the skin asset is ready, we can simply call the apply animation skin to layer method on the PaperZD anim instance. To show this off, I just bound it to a button and I can now switch between characters while the game is running. But you'd probably set up a variable where you can then overwrite the skin value for each character in the child blueprint or set it up through a data asset, which means you also just need a single blueprint that all characters can reuse. Now, especially for NPCs, this is extremely useful because when I made the skin variable instance editable, I can use a single blueprint for each NPC and just set the values in the world. This makes it very easy to scale to games where you might even have hundreds of NPCs, which is something that would have been basically impossible before we got the system. So this is an absolutely amazing addition and I can't wait to see how people use it. Let's now look at the layer system and what it brings to the table. There are many different ways in which you could use layers, and you could simply use them to equip a weapon or different armor pieces, but you could also make a full paper doll with modular body parts that you can switch out one by maybe giving the player a character creator. In this example, I have a sheet for the character, another sheet for the hat, and another sheet for the body armor. Armor pieces can be attached directly here in the animation source by defining the composite layer animations on the right side and the additional layer data on the left side. In the blueprint, you can then define the flipbook to use per layer manually, or just tick the box to let PaperZD generate these additional flipbooks. And now you can see that the layers are animating and moving together with the character in the game. These layers can then be used together with the skin system to, for example, create a pickup that will let you put on the armor through updating the skin that we use on layer number 1 and layer number 2 in this case. And I think you can imagine all of the possibilities we now have using the skin and layer system together. But of course, this is only a quick overview and I'll make a full code-along style tutorial hopefully soon. Let's look at the third new feature, which is the new Flipbook extraction tool. This is currently in alpha and was actually not made by Heavy Bullets. It was a last-minute addition to this update that was submitted by David Donut since PaperZD is now open source and accepts contributions. It is a bit complex and will take you a bit to wrap your head around, but it's much more powerful than the default sprite extractor that we get with Paper2D. This doesn't only extract sprites, but also flipbooks, allows you to set up things like the FPS and pivot settings, and it also allows you to save presets that you can then reuse. This makes it very easy to import different sprite sheets with layers like the ones I've used for the character with the hat and body armor. I still haven't played around with it all that much and there's probably still more to explore, so try it out and let us know what you think. Lastly, let's talk a bit about the future of PaperZD and also how this update even came to be. If you've been following this channel, you might have seen that a different plugin called 2D Actor Plus, which offered a skin system and animation layers first, just released about 2 weeks ago. And yeah, this is not a total coincidence. I've been talking to the dev of PaperZD for a long time about how necessary these features are, but we were both tunnel visioned on implementing skins through animation blueprint inheritance. But this would have been a huge undertaking requiring custom editor tools, and that is one of the reasons not much has really happened with PaperZD over the last year or so. 2D Actor Plus showed that it doesn't have to be that complicated, and it was the first time PaperZD had any real competition. And competition is definitely a good thing because it forces you to make things happen. So 2D Actor Plus actually played a big role in us getting this PaperZD update now, and otherwise it would probably have taken quite a bit longer. But both of these plugins work very differently and also have different feature sets, and one doesn't necessarily invalidate the other, and I'm looking forward to how both of these will evolve. For PaperZD, the developer actually asked me to ask you guys what kind of features or improvements you want to see. So please write a comment below this video with your ideas on what you think would be a worthy addition to the tool or things that you're currently struggling with. And like I said, PaperZD is now also open source on GitHub, so if you are able to contribute something of value, feel free to reach out to the developer or make a pull request. And we of course need to support PaperZD in any way we can, so please, if you haven't already, go to the PaperZD page on Fab right now and give it a rating. I linked it in the description for your convenience. And this is by far the best thing that we can do to show Epic Games how much we care about 2D games in Unreal, and will give Heavy some leverage to maybe get some funding or support in another way. And that's it for this quick overview video, and I hope I can make a full tutorial soon. As always, a huge thanks to my patrons and YouTube channel members.